Okay, I'm going to repeat the beginning. The power for the month of June is imagination, and imagination is the ability to conceptualize and envision a different future. I think that's so perfect for the music that we've had and just everything. It's just all fitting together. The disciple for the power of imagination is Bartholomew, who represents positive thoughts held in mind. The corresponding color is light blue, and the location is between the eyes. Now I ask you to affirm with me that I imagine good unfolding in every area of my life. And together, I imagine good unfolding in every area of my life. In unity, there is a saying, to set it right, see it right. This is a clue to the proper use of our God-given faculty of imagination. In order to change conditions in our mind, body, and affairs, we must first transform the pictures we are holding in mind. If we don't like the conditions we are attracting, we can change them by building new images with the eye of the mind, our faculty of imagination. We have what amounts to a continuously running, moving picture show being shown on a screen in our own mind. Here review our world, review past events, and project future experiences. If we project flickering images of first one thing and then another into our inner theater, we will express or attract a mixture of experiences, good and bad, in our life. However, by learning to make the right use of this important faculty, and by making sure it is continuously guided and directed by the Christ or God self of our being, we can develop an imagination that will not only serve us well, but will also provide tremendous support in developing our God-given powers. The more you become interested in showing yourself pictures of happy, healthy, prosperous, joyous experiences, the easier it becomes to forget the old, limiting pictures of the past. As we seek to develop our power of imagination for God purposes, we concentrate our attention at this point between the eyes and encourage the awakening of our power to picture God ideas. Here we are able to release limiting thoughts and feelings by perceiving or glimpsing something greater, our divine potentiality. It may come to us first in the form of pictures. As we communicate with other people by describing mental images, so God communicates divine ideas and plans to us by projecting greater goals and good onto the screens of our minds. Imagination cannot be forced. It must be invited. Relaxation is important to keep those channels open and developing all the 12 powers, but it is especially necessary in working with the perceiving power within us. The more you become interested in showing yourself pictures of happy, healthy, prosperous, joyous experiences, the easier it becomes to forget the old limiting pictures of the past. And while the pictures change in your mind, your body and circumstances are changing too, because when you see it right, you set it right. And now I ask you to affirm with me again, I imagine good unfolding in every area of my life. I imagine good unfolding in every area of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Denny. Thank you. So now we'll move on to our talk and our meditation. So welcome back, everyone. Today we're going to continue the teachings of Charles Fillmore, as stated in the first lesson of Unity Correspondence School of 1909. And today we're looking at the second part of the prosperity teaching. So I welcome you all here today, and anyone joining us on the live stream. So happy you can be with us. And we want to affirm again that true prosperity is not about possessions. True prosperity is the consciousness of abundance. And this consciousness is based on and steeped in the understanding of God as the inexhaustible, infinite resource that is always there and that is open to everyone. You know, again, true prosperity is the consciousness of abundance based on the understanding that God is always there, always accessible. One of the attributes of God is substance, and substance has been known as universal ether. It's the omnipresent, all-penetrating, and the foundation of the universe, of which all things are formed from. And I love the term universal ether because when I first started studying this years ago, I couldn't understand what substance was, the true meaning of substance. I always thought that substance was physical, but this is not. That's why I love the idea of universal ether. It's out there, ever present, always there, anytime for us to shape and form. So we live and move and have our being in this sea of substance. And according to law, there must be an inflow and an outflow. And we know this as the law of giving and receiving. So substance flows into consciousness where we give it form based on where we are in consciousness. We give it form based on our faith and our understanding. Then it must be giving out in a blessed to express it. So it comes to us through divine substance and we give it forth. Now, we all know that God is the source of all supply. So any anxiety concerning materialism or supply is removed by knowing that God is the source of supply. Now, one of the things Charles tells us is that to be careful not to confuse channel and source. God is the source. All else is the channel of supply. And there are many channels in which supply this can come forth. Fillmore wrote, the mind, while yet in ignorance, sometimes fixes itself firmly in the idea that supply can come only in some certain way. So he's telling us that, you know, we sometimes we get stuck in the idea that supply has to look a certain way, that it can only come in a certain form. So we look at the channel instead of the supply. He says the channel is looked upon as the source. So again, what he's telling us is that we have to look at not the channel, but the true source. So let's say, you know, we look at our job as the source of our income, but the job is just a channel. It's not the source. God is the source. And we're receiving this supply, this income through our job, which is the channel. He goes on to say external affairs, such as the drawing of the weekly wage or the collection of income from rental property, assume large proportions in the mind and shut out the consciousness of God as the source of supply. This state of mind can be changed by denying the error and affirming the truth. So what he's telling us is that we confuse it. We think that whatever channel the income is coming through, whatever channel it's coming through, we look at that as the source, and it's not. It's just a channel. And he gives us a denial and an affirmation for this. He says, I deny that I live on a fixed income. There is an inexhaustible resource of spirit that is equal to every demand. And I will put that in the chat box later so everybody has it. Now, he also distinguishes between work and service. He says, there is nothing in the idea of working for a living. The true object of work is service and the expression of all one's God-given faculties and powers. Humankind is a unit, and every person is under obligation to every other person. It is the obligation of love. So he's telling us that if there's one obligation we have here, it's to love one another. And we express ourselves through that loving. Now, a job may not be fulfilling to us, but it does have the capacity that allows us to be in service. He says, love is the law that unifies humankind, adjusts all people in right living, and establishes harmonious relations. Conflict occurs when the law of love is violated. So when people who are working for a living, instead of working to express their powers in loving service to other people, they're interfering with that divine law. He says cooperation instead of competition is the secret of success, because cooperation fulfills the law of love. Now, whenever we're in a job, and most of us, I'm using the example of job because most of us have a job, most of us work or have worked. And the thing is to provide a service and to do it from the level of love so that your soul can be nurtured. Now, Fillmore wrote, sometimes prosperity is not demonstrated because of unfaithfulness in work done. This is not because the labor is the source of prosperity, but because the law of loving service is broken. Whatever may be the employment, the whole heart should be put into it, and it should be done well. This reminds me of the fourth agreement. In the four agreements, always do your best. Because when we're serving from our heart, we are giving in love. And again, energy that goes out comes back. Now, we're not always going to be at our 100% all the time. You know, our best depends on how we're feeling on that day. If we're ill, our best is going to be less than it would be if we were feeling 100%. Now, Charles says, if you cannot see in the work you are doing the opportunity for helpfulness to others, change your work. Now, I know that's easier said than done. He says, but unless you are doing that which is directly harmful to humanity, you can always feel that some respect, however slight, you are benefiting humankind. So basically, even if you're not crazy about the job you're doing, as long as you're there doing it, you are fulfilling, you are helping and benefiting humankind. So he's saying, whatever, regardless of the type of work you do, we need to do our best, whatever it is that we're doing, because that is how we directly contribute. That's why we really need to work at a job that fulfills us. If we hate our job and we're not fulfilled, not only are we draining ourselves, but there's nothing there to offer for others. And I'm sure all of us have worked at some time or another in a job that we didn't like. So we probably didn't always do our best. But regardless, know that you're still contributing. On some level, you are still contributing. He says, do your part and be glad. If you are not doing as much as you would like to do, rejoice and give thanks for the privilege of doing the little, and the larger opportunity will come. So he's saying, regardless of what you're doing, rejoice that you're doing it. He says, it can never come through finding fault with your opportunities. Blessing and praising good increases your opportunities. So it always comes down to gratitude, right? The more we're grateful for something, the more we create things to be grateful for. So if you're not feeling fulfilled in your current job, bless it anyway. Give thanks for it. and know that something better, more fulfilling will come your way. But again, while you're doing it, be the best that you can be and know that you are contributing. Now, he goes on to address the idea of money. He says the love of money is not evil in itself. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's saying money is not evil in itself. It's the love of money that makes trouble. We get into trouble by the love of money. He says money is not a curse to those who see the place it fills and keeps it in its place. When they know that substance and not money is the source of their good, they will not be grasping and selfish. So the idea here is that when we know that our true supply, that God is our source and our true supply, then we use money as an expression, as a form to help and move things. We don't hoard it and worry about it and need to have more. We live and relish in what we have, and that openness allows the energy to move us, move through us, and therefore it keeps the flow going. There's a wonderful example in Lynn Twist's book, The Soul of Money. She and her husband were enmeshed in material side of life, and like many others, there was a fear of not having enough. Now, in doing her deeper inner work, she had a realization that money is a current, a carrier, a conduit for our intentions. And I love that. Money is a current, a carrier, a conduit for our intentions. With that realization, she decided to change her lifestyle from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to the top. And she remodeled her priorities. She was no longer driven by fear of not having enough. And the scarcity problem evaporated. She wrote, "The truth is, the world has enough food to feed every soul. But out of selfishness, greed, and longing for more money, we close our eyes to this terrible reality." We, meaning she and her husband, began to see the resources we could direct towards others, allocating money to people, programs, and projects that build a better life for all people. She and her husband started the Hunger Project and has raised over $150 million to help poor communities and bring about comfort and happiness. Now, this is a perfect example of knowing the true source of their supply. They knew it wasn't currency. They knew the true source of their supply was God, and they were able to shape and form substance to help others. Now, Charles uses the term uncertain riches. He says uncertain riches is the possession of things apart from, meaning not from, the consciousness of the one substance as the source of all. And it is these uncertain possessions that cause vexation and sorrow of the heart. So he's telling us that we use the law of giving and receiving all the time. But so many times it's not based on spiritual principles. It's based on these uncertain possessions. He says, when humankind knows of it, meaning that God is their source, and their relation to one another, they will not think of using money as a means of fulfilling the law, but will demonstrate both in deed and in truth that love is the fulfilling of the law. As humankind comes into the consciousness of the universal law, they will have less need of money, but they will give in love and receive in love, and everybody will be satisfied with that method of keeping the law. But while money is used, it is well to have right ideas concerning it. Instead of considering it as cold, hard, material thing, see it as a means people are using to keep the divine law of giving and receiving. It is not stored up, it's kept moving. Now, again, in Lynn Twist's book, The Soul of Money, she says, money is an invention. We made it up We manufacture it. Money still facilitates the sharing and exchange of goods and services. But somewhere along the way, the power we gave to money outstripped its original utilitarian role. This thing called money has become the single most controlling force in our lives. But there is a way out of that. And Fillmore says, all who have the understanding of the true spiritual prosperity, keeping the law of giving and receiving, and take the right attitude toward money shall have plenty of it. It will flow into their hands and through their hands in a constant stream of blessing. They know that money is not substance, but the symbol of substance. And they avoid the errors that follow the confusion of symbols and realities. Remember, money is just a symbol. Reality is God as our source, an unending supply. Now, in the matter of giving, it's well to remember that the law is universal and not personal. Therefore, you should not be disappointed if those to whom you give do not give it back. And he's saying, don't feel anxious if you can't give to those who give to you. He says the law will take care of that. He says the law is unchangeable. It's give and it shall be given unto you. But the exact way in which the return shall come is not specified. He says if you serve your neighbor, it may be that the most direct way for you to receive will be for him to do something for another. The oneness of humankind and the universality of the law makes personal matters seem very petty. Now, this reminds me of the idea of paying it forward. Someone gives to you, and then you in turn give to someone else. So you're not receiving from the person that you gave it to, but everybody benefits. It's about the energy, it's about the flow, it's the energy of loving, giving in motion. And Fillmore encourages to trust the law. He says, trust the law to bring you your own. He says, give freely and bountifully, not expecting those to whom you give to turn around and give to you, but trust the law to bring you your own. As it says in 2 Corinthians 9:6, he that soweth bountifully shall reap also bountifully. So every week so far, I've asked you the question, and I'll do it again. What do you believe? Do you believe that there is one presence and one power in the universe, and it manifests as all substance? Or do you believe in a world of lack? If we look in the world, we will see lack because everything in the world is changeable. But what is constant and ever present and always available is that one mind and that one power and that one presence that is all substance, that is always available to us. So I'm going to invite Tasha now to show the affirmation slide if you can. And then I'm going to ask you with your mics muted to repeat these affirmations with me. I have faith in God as the substance of all good. I have faith in the substance and it is now manifest in me and my affairs. The inexhaustible resource of spirit is equal to every demand. There is no reality in lack. Abundance is here and now manifest. Amen. So now I'd like to invite you to close your eyes as we move into meditation. Just allow yourselves to get comfortable in your seat. Feel yourself relaxing with every breath you take, knowing that each breath moves deeply to any area of your body that may be experiencing tension. And you feel that area relaxing. You feel yourself breathing and settling into a beautiful and wonderful pace for you. And now I'd like you to focus on your heart center, that place in the center of your being where God resides, where truth resides, where there is only one. And I have faith in God as the substance of all good. I have faith in the substance as it is now manifest in me, in my life, and in all my affairs. God is the resource and is there always at any time. And there is no reality is in lack. For God, the good is ever present in my life. And my life is a channel for God's ever present good. Divine substance flows through me in my life with my thoughts, my attitudes, and actions. And I allow this ever, never ending source of substance to move through me. Just as water channels can get clogged, so there may be times that I feel obstructions in my life that are caused by fear and unforgiveness. I clear this from my mind and open myself to the greater good and that flow. I release the belief that anything or anyone outside of me can prevent my good. I participate in the circulation by blessings and by giving generously. And as I give, I know that I receive abundantly. I keep my thoughts on gratitude and trust this constant flow of goodness in my life. I am ever mindful to plant divine thoughts and words of truth, that I am living in a limitless spiritual universe. My true prosperity emerges from within, and I enjoy a world of opulent abundance that blesses all. There is enough. There is more than enough for all. I am prosperous, abundant, and fulfilled. And I affirm this for all. And now I invite you to go deeper and deeper into the silence and just listen. I live in the flow of divine abundance in every aspect of my life. And I know that this is available to all at all times. And now I invite you to bring to mind anyone who may be in need of prayer. Those on our unity prayer list, those on silent unity, and we extend this to the wider circle of the world. We affirm that there is a power and presence within each individual that will see them through any temporary difficulty that is appearing in the world of form. We affirm their wholeness and oneness. And we extend this especially to our world leaders, that they may know and realize that there is only the one. And as they do to others, they do to themselves. We pray for peace in the hearts of all humankind. We pray for an end to discrimination, fear, hatred, and bias. We are so blessed with the awareness of divinity, of oneness, and that everyone is a beautiful expression of the divine. And now I invite you to bring your consciousness back into your body, back into the room where you are, and welcome back. And now is the time in our service where we have the opportunity to give. So I invite you to hold your gifts in your hand and feel the love that you are move down from your heart into your hands as you instill and infuse these gifts with your love. And we see this love flowing out and flowing in. And I invite you to bless these gifts with me. And as we invite the next slide, and together, divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I choose to give and all that I am open to receive, and I am grateful. And I'd like to thank everyone who joined us on the live stream. It's so great to have you with us. And if you'd ever like to join us on Zoom, just email carmelaunity@yahoo.com. That's CarmelaUnity@yahoo.com. And I'll send you the link and so you can join us on Zoom.
And our closing song is Danny's song,